This conference will now be recorded.
Can anyone confirm
Yes,
that you
yes,
can see the
we
screen?
can see your screen. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah, so we are coming to the demo session, right? So the basic understanding of demo session would be like, what is SAP TM? How does it go through? What are the key integration modules with the various systems in and around, like MMS, the GTS, EWM? Oh, they're surrounding with multiple. TM is surrounded by multiple system and it's heavily integrated with multiple modules as well. We will understand exactly how this happens and what are the key things that needs to happen in terms of process flow and kind of stuff. Then we have a sales business process flow, like how the sales process flow happens, and then how the purchase flow happens. And as Arun is from EWM background, right? So I'll touch base on basics of how ETM and EWM are integrated and what are the key concepts in and around that. So I'll not be going into too much of technical in depth, but on a high level, we'll cover up exactly end-to-end process, and I'll also explain like in the future sessions like what are concepts we are going to take in, and what are the configurations. I'll give a high level on exactly what configurations we'll be learning, how to mend those configurations according to different business scenarios. I can give my real time experience on how transportation works in real time, and what are the key complex situations that you might face. And also in the process, I can also say that I have been interviewer for the last 7 8 years, so I can give you a key overview on how the interviewer approaches you in terms of TM interview and kind of stuff as well. So let's get ahead.
So,
So
Banu, just a question.
Gautam,
So,
yeah,
how much it's like linked with MM and EWM? Like, is it like fully an
okay.
independent tool, or does it needs so the background knowledge of like how EWM and MM works like that?
Okay, I'll come to the process flow first. I'll give you the process flow overview so that you understand exactly how the modules are integrated.
Okay.
This is just a basic process flow that I created, but it's not an extensive one. But I'll
I
give you an
mean,
extensive overview, like
my
how
question
the
is
other modules are different. Yeah,
yeah,
got
okay, sorry. So my question is, to attend the TM training, so does it
it.
requires to have knowledge upfront about how the MM and EWM works? Do I need to learn, complete those modules and then come to TM,
No,
or can I start in parallel?
no, no, not required, Gautam. So I'll tell you exactly how this happens. So TM comes into picture like in MM, right? You understand the basic purchase order scenario, right? You create a purchase
Yeah.
order, the vendor delivers it to your location, and then the goods receipt happens. So this is what the MM process runs. So let's take the basic scenario of MM, like you created a purchase order and an inbound delivery confirmation is created. And let's say Gautam is owning a company. It's your company that's going to create the purchase order. So you are saying that instead of vendor delivering it to me, I'll go to vendor and get the transportation done on my transport, or I'll take care of the transportation process. So that's where the transportation starts. Actually, once the inbound delivery is done, the inbound delivery can be integrated to TM module. So it's completely independent. So purchase scenario runs separately, TM scenario runs separately, but there is a correlation between both of them. So we integrate either purchase order or delivery to have the basic information. Like let's say there are 20 pallets that are coming from a particular vendor to our location, right? So that information is required in TM side. So we take all the information from the purchase order or the inbound delivery, and we have exclusive planning and operation sites in TM. That means like you have to book a truck, right? There's a truck that's going to pick up the stuff. So when the truck has to come into that vendor location, which truck has to come into that vendor location, what is the timeline to have that particular pickup ready and then deliver it to our location. All these depend on the delivery dates and everything. So this module runs in parallel but as a independent system together, and then it integrates to the purchase order bag or the delivery bag. So let's say you have given a delivery date of 20th of June. So we have to make sure as a transportation module, right? We have to make sure that this particular shipment will come from the vendor location to our location on 20th on or before 20th of June, depending on the business requirements and the Incoterms that we have or the agreement terms we have. So that's how it runs. It's a parallel component, but it's a completely independent component. We extract information from WM, not WM, SD, and we process that information in TM. We share that information back to EWM so that the EWM guys, right, the warehouse clerks or warehouse managers will have the information to arrange for that the truck to come into a particular door. So we, that big warehouses have doors, multiple doors. So we have that dock scheduling as well. So that particular door has a timeline where you have to that truck has to come into particular door for unloading operations in a particular timeline. So everything is interrelated with each other. We share that information to EWM side. EWM will book the appointments, or sometimes TM will have a specific app to book appointments, doc scheduling appointments, and everything. So information is flowing from one module to another. But when you say, is it completely required to learn MMSD or EWM? I say no. But in future, when you want to excel in TM, right, you should have a basic understanding of what information we are fetching from the adjacent modules and what information we are sharing in from TM to EWM or GTS. These kind of scenarios are there, right? So that's important. But knowing the entire module is not necessary, because I am from background, but the main for the client which I work for is completely sales process. Purchase is nothing for them actually. In order to have the transportation arranged, it's like 5 to 10% of the business transaction. We have TM for that. But when you see the entire transaction or 90% of business volumes from my client runs through the sales process only, sales or stock transport or process. Did that answer your question, Gautam?
Yes, Banu. So even in the
Yeah.
sales, right? So does the
Hmm.
TM module used in the delivery also? Like, so I understand like
Yeah,
if you are
same.
purchasing, so you are maybe the pickup, right? So you are using TM for the pickup. So the same like in the
Hmm.
sales also, you will use the same TM modules for the delivery, like delivery transportation, right?
Yeah, in most of the companies, right, which I worked for, because whenever you see a manufacturing, I work mostly for manufacturing or pharma or agri-based products and services, right? So these companies are heavily manufacturing something, so they have the dependency of moving the product from their location to customer location or other plants within the company, other plants. So my experience is that most of your transactions lies with the stock transport order. That is very crucial for every business to run, because we have multiple plants within certain regions, so we have to move stock from one plant to another, and from there you have to deliver it. The second scenario comes in where the manufacturing thing is that we have independent warehouses where 3 or 4 plants or 5 plants will have a centralized warehouse operations that holds everything, right? The stock which comes from all the plants is held in that warehouse, and from that warehouse it is distributed. So everything related to these transportations is core for us. So we don't need to have the entire module understanding of sales and everything, but if we have an idea like sales order is created, delivery is created, that delivery is the core, right? Which customer it is going to, which date we need to deliver the customer, and what are the payment conditions, and all this basic stuff we need to extract from the delivery, process it in the TM side, plan our trucks or vessels or rails according to that information, and send it across to EWM side so that they can do the picking activities. The earlier was the unloading activities that needs to be processed for the inbound deliveries. Outbound deliveries, it's the picking activities that needs to do. So loading activities to a particular truck. In STOs, we have both. One plant will unload, the other plant will one plant will load it, the other plant will unload it. So it depends on how the business runs. We'll come to those scenarios when we are going into each and every scenario in future. Any questions, Gautam or Arun?
No, we can go ahead.
No, no.
Yeah. So, as this is a basic stuff, like transportation is nothing but movement of, which we already discussed right now. So it's moving of one product or multiple products from one location to another, and it heavily relies on the timeline which we are delivering it. Because if you are a premium supplier, right, or a premium product manufacturer, the customers or the vendors heavily depend on the timeline. So it is very important that in order to deliver to that particular shipment, right, shipment to a particular customer or bring back the shipment for vendor, it's very important that we have transportation management in scope and it works efficiently. That's a key concept. That lies the entire backbone of the supply chain industry, and that's why TMA is in boom right now. Because if you come to this industry of transportation management, right, you find it heavily complex, and there are a lot of issues within the supply chain like deliveries, delays, a lot of conflicts, claims in the sense like if there is a product damage when it is going from one location to another, there there we have to define the ownership on who is doing what and who owns that particular damage and who is paying up. So it heavily relies on the amount, or when we say amount, it heavily uh, impacts the company financials. The transportation network which we have is right that heavily uh, it's money dependent. Basically, if you see our client, right, it's like one of the biggest supplier of food products within the US, Europe, and Brazil, and we have around $20 million in transportation services that we do every year. So imagine the amount of transportation spend that the company is doing for a particular business line. I'm not talking about the entire business line. I'm just talking about a particular group of products a company is using for that itself is like $20 million. So imagine the amount of money involved in this, and the reputation involved, the reputation in the sense like we have to deliver to the customer on time, because if we are missing those deadlines, then we lose the trust of customers, and we in future we might lose the opportunity to have business with them. Because companies like food and agri, right, they are very competitive in nature within themselves. And yeah, so few examples which we can see in daily life is that in India we have supermarkets like let's take Spar or something. If you see a Spar at night, you see a lot of trucks with name Spar on it, because these are the trucks which they own. And you can also see a multiple other vehicles or other trucks that can see that is owned by a different carrier. So there's a differentiation between the vehicles we own and vehicles we outsource it to. So we'll come to that differentiation as a carrier and an LSP kind of a situation we have. And there is a complete different set of processing inside TM system for that thing. As like if we own particular trucks, there is a different process. If we are subcontracting a particular uh, like DHL or FedEx, right? We leverage those services, right? That's called service subcontracting. That's a different kind of a process we have within ourselves. So you see, these are the number of scenarios that we have in TM, like direct truck shipment, that is from our manufacturing plant to a customer. Then we have truck networks, like we do like multiple plants are there and multiple customers are there and multiple warehouses are there. So when we have less than a truckload, right? So a truck is like 53 ton or something like that. The standard truck, which most of the companies use, is a 53 truck. That's a bigger one. So let's say a customer ordered only 2 ton of a particular shipment, right? So that's not sufficient to, or a scalable, what we call a scalable metric for a truck to move from one location to another. Most of the companies expect the truck to be fully loaded so that they utilize the truck space to the max, and it saves a lot of money for them. So in that process, what we do, we pick up from for multiple customers, we have multiple orders, right? We collate all the orders together and we try to ship it together and deliver it to multiple customer with the same truck. So that's what is the truck networks that is shown here. If you see multiple shippers, then has the warehouses where for different customer different products are allocated in different warehouses. We go to each warehouse and deliver it to different customers, as you see. Then comes the multimodal domestic shipment. Multimodal is nothing but you have vessels or sorry, ships, barges, then rail. So let's take a simple example of a ship, right? So we have to deliver food grain from, let's say, South India to Middle East. So what is the best possible way? Let's say Hyderabad to Dubai. We have to ship the food grains for that. So there is a truck which is coming to Hyderabad warehouse. It is picking up a full truckload of rice grains. It is going to a port in Mumbai. So it will pick up a truck. That is first leg. The truck will come from Hyderabad to Mumbai. In Mumbai, it will unload. There are again vessel operations like we have to book a container. That container has to be checked by the uh, departments over there. Then it has to be loaded and it has to be placed on a vessel. And then from vessel, it goes to a Dubai port. And from Dubai port, we go into a particular warehouse again. So there are three legs involved here: a truck, a vessel. That's basically a ship, container ship, and then again a truck. So that is called a multimodal modal domestic shipment. I'm just giving a basic example, but there are scenarios where a shipper would like a prominent shippers are there, like big companies, right? They have their own rail networks as well. So rail networks in the sense they book a complete train wagons and use that to as a transportation service also. Like a truck goes into a rail station or rail ramp, then it loads into the rail goes into the port. From the port it will again go into a container into a ship, and then from there again a truck to a particular location as well. So that's a kind of complex scenarios you have to map in TM system. That's our responsibility, and we heavily rely on the business logics and the business inputs they give. We come to these kind of scenarios in future, like how to map these, how this work in real time, and how do we manage the documentation for all these. So air freight is quite simple. Most of the companies heavily dependent on vessel and rail and road because of the cost of transportation. Air is quite heavy, but most of the companies use it as a limited one. Like we have around, being a prominent supplier, we have around 1% or 2% of its transactions in a year going in an air freight. That is very rare, but it's again like a similar setup like what I explained, multimodal setup. So we have this air freight shipment port to port. That is nothing but it's a similar case, but we are only considering port to port as a transaction, and that needs to be documented kind of stuff. Then comes the ocean LCL, means less than container load. That means like multiple shippers will come and we collate all the shippers. Like multiple shippers means it can be our company, another company, a different company than ours. Most of the shipments come, the LSP will, what he will do is like, instead of sending a partial shipment, a partial container onto a vessel, which is a wastage of space inside the vessel and wastage of money, because if it goes LCL, he has to pay. Most of the containers will charge full amount, so it doesn't fare well for the businesses to send an less than container load unless and until it's quite urgent, or there are specific necessities like no other goods can be shipped together with this goods. So the shipper will bear the entire cost, even if it is a less than container load. The payment for that will be associated to a full container load, and then it will be moved. So there are a number of ifs and buts, like requirements from the individual shippers, like how to ship that particular thing. And based on that, the freight costs are determined. And Ocean FCL is most of the big companies do the FCL shipments because they make sure that the container is full so that they utilize the maximum capacity of the container and minimize the cost spends for the transportation of freight. So in the entire scenarios, right? Any questions before I highlight an important point here?
What's the difference between LCL and FCL?
LCL is like you have a big containers, right? You have seen the Maersk container ships and something like that. So you if you see a particular Maersk ship, there are container upon container upon container, right? It's stacked in multi-floor, and it is placed on a particular vessel, right? So less than container load is something like a container can, like, we have standard set of container, 20 feet container and a 40 feet container. So in a 40 feet container, let's say a particular, I'm just giving a hypothetical example because everything depends on the type of product. A 40 tons can be put into a particular container, right? So a
So this
business
is
say,
okay. Less than
yeah, less than 40
container
ton,
load.
like
Okay,
20 ton or yeah,
got it. Yeah,
25 ton. That's how
got
it
it.
is.
Got it. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
basically, shippers avoid it
Mm-hmm.
inverse, like, but an LSP likes it. LSP in the case like FedEx or Maersk, they are the shipping owners, right? They like it
Mm-hmm.
because they get uh, shipments from multiple customers and they have high profitability in their area. But it is a loss for shippers because they are sending less than container load and they get charged more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Got it now.
So, as a transportation consultant, right, or a transportation management consultant, our responsibility lies here to optimize the route which we are going through the network of transportation we are using and the carrier we are using, and minimize the cost. That's a key goal, you can say, like for a transportation management consultant. So whenever you discuss with business on the requirements and everything, right, your ultimate aim should be like have a process set up in the system that will have the exact expectation of business in terms of process that going through, and you need to also have your ideas and open mind in suggesting ideas to the business that would minimize the costs or the like complexity within the system, so that uh, I'll come to this, so that all the processes are streamlined, because this again information of this particular thing goes up to EWM side for picking, packing, loading kind of stuff, right? So it's heavily integrated. So as a transportation management consultant from logistics side, you have to be extremely careful while designing a process, and you need to consider like not consider, but you can loop in your EWM consultant, or you can loop in your sales representative to have a better understanding on end-to-end process, so that they are aligned on the process and they don't have any issues. And this entire shipment, right, these are associated to costs. Basically everything is associated to costs. So being a shipper, right, or shipper or a manufacturer of a particular product, there are few companies that make profit out of this as well, because they own trucks, right? They own trucks. Let's say for this particular shipment, basic shipment, the first line item I'm showing, a shipper to a particular customer he's shipping, he incurred like $100 of freight charges, right? So he can charge his customers as $110, and he can make a profit of $10 over there as well. So it entirely depends on business, like how they want to use the transportation. They want to use the transportation to have a proper supply of goods, or they can have business can have an aim of having proper network that can deliver goods on time and make profit out of it. So that's a revenue generating component again. Any questions before we move on to the next slide? Okay, so this is the end-to-end collaboration between like multiple parties on a high level, right? So the end customer would place his order for like say 20 pallets of particular goods that is there. Then comes the manufacturer. Let's assume that the manufacturer is having his own line of trucks. Then he accepts the order. That's a basic sales representative, you can say. Sales representative will accept the order. Then he will propose the shipment, like how much shipment, like let's say 20 pallets is requested, so we have to say delivery is created for 20 pallets. So a delivery is again integrated into TM. That will say that a particular customer, let's say what can we say in Hyderabad, let's say Accenture is there, right? Accenture has requested 20 pallets of papers, or 20 cartons of papers, and that 20 cartons of paper is comes as a requirement into TM. Requirement is nothing but a freight unit, which will come in next slide. So a freight unit will be created. A freight unit will be created, and that freight unit will be combined into a freight order, similar to a purchase order or a sales order, right? In TM we have freight order. So that represents, basically in a purchase, represents a contract between vendor and and our company, right? So similarly in transportation management, a freight order represents a contract between us and a particular carrier. If you are outsourcing to a particular truck company, that acts as a contract between both of them. Order management and freight planning, this will come to later, like what is freight planning, how is it done, and kind of stuff. So basically we have a requirement for 20 uh, carton boxes. The 20 carton boxes come in as a freight unit. The freight unit is again done as a freight order, and then that freight order is right. So let's say a FedEx is there. So as a company, I'll do that. I'll use FedEx as the transportation service provider because he is the most accurate and fastest one, and Accenture is in need of very urgent delivery. So I'll use FedEx in the tendering and subcontracting. There's a process for this. Like in purchasing scenario, we have vendor evaluation, right? So we have carrier evaluation or carrier um, selection process where we can select the carrier, or what we can do is like this freight order can be sent out to multiple carriers like FedEx, DHL, DTDC, US Post Box, and everything. Like you can send up to any number of particular carriers, and whoever sends the best quote to you, you can use that particular carrier to deliver your services. So that's the tendering process basically, that goes out to the market and does that stuff. So once the tendering is done, the freight order is in execution process. Then once the carrier is there, then comes the EWM process where the picking, packing stuff comes into picture, and picking, packing, and ports goods issue basically are done in the EWM side. Or if EWM is not there, then it's the normal warehouse management side that is done over there. And then comes the execution monitoring. So PJ is nothing but a particular post goods issue. PJ is nothing but a post goods issue that represents a sales delivery. That issue goods have been issued from the location. So we have issued the goods from the location. So the goods left our premises, right? Then comes the execution and monitoring part. Execution and monitoring part is something where few clients would like to know the status of exactly where the shipment is. Like Accenture is tracking a high value item, let's say. Instead of carton papers, then we'll say Accenture is having some high valuable item or diamonds in there. They want to track it on a daily purpose or something. Like execution and monitoring is something like when the PJ is done, the departure event in the TM gets triggered. That means we can see a particular status in freight order that the particular truck has departed, and the delivery is supposed to happen next day, and there is a delay because of rainfall or floods in that area. There is a delay, right? So that has to be reported. The carrier will report in his system, and that will come back into our system. So there is an integration aspect here. So he will report a delay along with when he can possible deliver it to a particular Accenture. Here in our case, customer is Accenture. So those kind of information can happen here. Delay, again, truck breakdowns. You can have any number of events based on the business requirement that can be reported in the freight order, and that can again be reported back to the customer and exactly what happened in there. So once the execution is done and the customer received the goods, right, then the execution status is that it is delivered to the customer location. So that can be the execution status. So once the execution status is delivered, right, so we can have the freight settlement. Freight settlement is nothing but in the entire stretch of freight process, right, the freight order will have few charges like base freight. That's the base cost of a particular movement of shipment from one location to another. Let's say it's $100 or $200. It can also depend on number of kilometers that goes that the truck travels. Let's say from Hyderabad, Accenture to a particular Accenture to my company's location is 10 kilometers. Then we say that for this 10 kilometers, it should be like $10 per kilometer. And it can be like, this is a complicated structure again, like number of ifs and buts are there, and number of iterations, uh not iterations, what I call it, like a breakdown method. Like if it is more than 100 kilometers, then the freight charge should be $9 per kilometer. There's a discount over there, right? It's you basically in or SD you call it as scale pricing. For a certain uh, scales, you have a certain price. Like for less than 100 kilometers, it's $10. More than 100 kilometers and less than 200 kilometers is $9. Then so that kind of a pricing structure will come into the freight planning and tendering here. That will be have to be settled. Settled is nothing but we have to receive the payment from Accenture for the prices we have delivered, right? So that's where the freight settlement comes in. So Accenture will pay to the shipper, and we have to pay to FedEx or DHL or something. So this freight settlement process is something where it is called as receivables or accounts receivables or account payables. There's a complex structure here that will come in detail when we have the freight settlement process. So this is the core of transportation management, freight settlement, because everything in the freight settlement is related to money the company is spending or money the company is getting. Any questions? This is a high level. We'll come back again to this end-to-end process where I'll explain each step in detail. So no need to worry if you haven't gone through much in this. So this is a
So
business
the
terminology.
execution monitoring comes like twice. What's the difference between? I know you're expanding like first line is just high level, so logistic
Hmm.
and operations, right? So in that the
Yeah,
breakdown is pre-planning, order management, freight, tendering,
yeah. This
execution.
is completely TM owned thing.
Yeah. So and then again, like you are expanding the tendering and putting execution monitoring. Like execution monitoring, that means like it's the carrier side and our side, like that, like two different execution monitoring.
Yeah. So this is what. So here there are two things like logistics service provider. That's where I didn't want to complicate stuff. There are two things here: logistics service provider. That means let's take DHL. You understand DHL and
Yeah,
FedEx, right? So they are
yeah,
logistics service provider. So basically, logistics service provider is that they don't have any company to produce their products and deliver it. So they only take orders from shippers and they do the consolidation of products from all the locations and deliver it to multiple locations. It's similar to a postal box services. Like that's an LSP. So they don't own any product or something like that. So as a manufacturing company, we can act as an LSP. Like we own trucks, right? Let's say my company owns 100 trucks. I can do shipment of my own company products as well as I can take orders from other companies to ship their products as well. So that when we take the orders from the other companies, right, we act as an LSP. For them, we act as a carrier. We for a company, we act as an LSP. So we become the logistics service provider to a different shipper over there. We'll come to this process. Actually, this in the starting
So,
process,
what
right? This is very
is the
complicated.
difference? Yeah, I got that. What is the difference between LS logistic service provider and a carrier? So, LSP means DHL. Carrier also DHL only, right?
Yeah, carrier can be DHL, but that's what I'm saying. So if a company, right, let's say Banu has a Banu Industries, right? Banu Industries has around 100 trucks.
Okay.
Okay. For my company, if I take a particular shipment and give it to DHL, that DHL becomes carrier, right? I'm subcontracting to DHL. DHL is a carrier, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Similarly, Banu company has 100 trucks. So I'll take Gautam has given me an order of 100 tons to ship to my company. Banu company has to ship it. Then
Okay.
Banu
Got it.
company acts as a logistics service provider because I am providing services to you.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
basically both are same, but in a
both
like
are same,
when
but
you are
it's a different perspective. The other side of
got it.
like
That's it.
it's the other
Yeah.
side of things.
So DHL calls themselves as LSP, and we call
Yeah,
DHL as carrier. Okay.
carrier.
Okay.
So the core functionalities of TM, right? So these are the core functionalities of TM. So in this, I can highlight you the strategic freight management is starting point. Like we have number of components within the strategic freight management. Like so, this is the if you see the terminology, right? Strategic freight management. So it's a strategic component where the business analyzes like which carriers to have, what carriers to have, how to have the carriers, and how to extract the maximum benefit in terms of price and efficiency of a particular carrier. So a particular, let's say in purchasing scenario, Arun, you're aware of the purchase order scenarios, right? Just to have a confirmation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a purchase requisitions, so that basically we have a purchase requisition, then we send out to a particular suppliers, and then we get a particular quotation. Then based on the quotation, we give an order to a particular supplier, right? Similarly, strategic freight management is something like we send we have a contracts like, let's say, 1,000 tons have to be delivered within 1 year. So we create those contract quotations, send it to multiple carriers, get the quotations and feedback from them, and then we organize or we confirm the contracts with that particular carrier. So that's called strategic freight management. Basically, it's in all the modules across, but with a different name. Strategic freight management is something like a vendor evaluation or carrier evaluation to have a better rates and better terms agreed with the carrier depending on the output we give. Basically, the more transportation we do with that carrier, we get more benefits out of it. So there are a number of complex strategic things that the business takes in, not within SAP, but they come with their experience through the entire the whole working atmosphere they have, right? The collaborations with the carrier and everything. They bring in everything and have these contracts agreed in the TM side. So that's how strategic freight management works. So that's a contractual part with the carriers and everything to have a better rates negotiated and better terms negotiated. Then comes the order management. Like, order management is a critical part when we say when we have number of trucks leaving. Let's say uh, in a particular month we have 10,000 trucks leaving from a particular location. Imagine the amount of workload the system would have. 10,000 trucks in a month is roughly like uh, imagine like 30 days, 10,000 or 1,000 trucks that are coming in and going. Like every day there is 1,000 trucks or 1,500 trucks coming in and going. So that's how you need to manage these operations for truck distribution, and like when the truck is coming, which truck is full, how to make the truck full, and how to dispatch it to a particular location, or this kind of thing comes under order management. Like, even the order management comes in, like if we have different fleet of trucks, right, which truck best suits which products, these kind of stuff will come into there. And we have number of business rules within TM system that we can leverage to do that. It's a complicated or complex stuff that we'll be working on, but when you understand the concepts, when you break down the concepts into a finer segments, then it will be a more sensible thing that how we do it. Then comes the transportation planning. That's what order management and transportation planning is something like. How do we manage sales orders and which trucks we are going in? How do we consolidate carrier, like multiple sales order with different customers, right? How do we consolidate them into a single truck? How to maximize the efficiency of a particular trip? All this comes in the order management and transportation planning. In transportation planning, right, we have a tool called transportation cockpit, which is a very efficient tool. We'll walk you through that in coming sessions, but that is the core, or let's say it's the heart of transportation management. It is connected to a server outside TM, and that server runs everything. Like it's like based on machine learning and kind of stuff, where not machine learning, but it's a complex backend Java kind of stuff, because all the other programming in SAP comes under a web language, but this comes under data structures, or what we call the Java programming language. The terminology for Java terminology is that kind of programming is there, not the traditional ABAP we have. It's a Java kind of a programming we have for this transportation cockpit. That's a very interesting area to go through, and a complex one which takes a lot of time for me to explain as well as you to understand. Then comes the execution part. Like, execution is nothing but once the truck is dispatched, we have planned everything in the truck is dispatched. A few of the customers which I worked with had a requirement that they would like to see a real-time tracking. Imagine you need to show a particular truck as dispatched, and the customer should always have a flexibility to open that particular order and see where the truck is to have a continuous visibility. So we have a GPS tracker associated to a particular trucks, and that GPS access is given to customer as well. Those kind of requirements are also there in transportation management, and we own that particular requirements too. So it's the same thing. And yeah, I forgot to add one more thing. The charge freight settlement, if you see, this again comes under how we are better managing the carriers and how we are paying the carriers. And everything we pay to the carrier can be brought back into the analytics and reports. So analytic and reports can be is related to everything in here, like strategic freight management. We have few standard reports, and most of the standard reports are not sufficient to the business, to be honest. So we as a TM consultant have to develop BI reports and complex reports within TM that gives the KPI structure to most of the transportation departments. Like currently, I'm working on one of the key requirements where the business should have the capability of checking, like for a particular vendor, are we on time? Are we are did we pay on time? If yes, then what is the payment that we paid? Is the payment again uh, equal to what we agreed upon? Are there any discrepancies within like there can be multiple things, right? I say that we have an agreement between the carriers, say $100, right? So at the end there are toll charges and everything that are reported by the carrier, and the final bill is $110. So the business should have a flexibility to see this in a particular report. The standard reports also show this, but the business want exclusively to see which carrier is doing this and kind of stuff. So we are building a report for this. So on a particular month or a week, if they give a date and run a particular transaction in the system, all the additional charges which are there in the system have to be brought up to that particular report. So that kind of a complex analytics and reports are required for the business to validate the carrier thing. Any questions before we go on to the key things, like what are the integration aspects and kind of stuff?
I'm all good.
Yep. So as we all know, like SAP is a complicated ERP system where we have multiple systems, and TM makes it even more complicated because if you see the number of collaborations or integrations with the system you have is like S4 is one system where you process or inbound deliveries, outbound deliveries. That's one integration that is there. Then comes the EWM integration where we send out the transportation unit to a particular EWM system for them to process picking, packing, or for inbound delivery they have to do the inbound stuff and kind of stuff. EM is another system which is adjacent to TM. This is called event management. This is the system which I was talking about where we can report the delays, uh, then breakdown of a particular vehicle, accident to a particular vehicle. All this event management, this is a separate module again within SAP that can be leveraged for this. Also, I have worked with few clients where event management within SAP is not used, but a third party system is used to report this particular uh, things as well. Then comes the GTS. GTS is nothing but Global Trade Services. This module is within SAP again. This deals with customs clearances. If we have some companies producing some dangerous goods like radiated goods or something like that, all those kind of checks and documentation is taken care by the GTS. Then this customer relationship management is related to SD again. EHS is again environment, health and science. This is barely touches TM, but yeah, we say that it is surrounding module to TM where we check on the uh, uh, key aspects of warehouse workers or the the guys who are loading the truck and unloading the truck, where the environmental health and safety concerns are there for few of the customers or few of the manufacturers for dangerous goods, right? So when there are dangerous goods associated, there is always a danger, and EHS comes into place, where they have few standards and checks based on EHS that they need to follow. That is the ERP side of, like SAP side of integration. Apart from SAP, we have, if you see, these are all the integrations that we have. So collaboration portal, what is collaboration portal? So there are multiple collaboration portals like Intra, and we have LBN within SAP, which acts as an intermediary cloud services to have an interaction between our company's TM resource to carrier TM resource. So it's like, what do you say, it's like an Amazon portal, right? So as a customer, or as a carrier, as a manufacturer, I use carrier portal as an Amazon service, where I can choose the carrier, give him his contract, and he will come and pick our goods and deliver it, and he will give his invoice from that portal itself. So you get what I'm saying, right? So it's integrated directly into our system, so that we have a seamless flow of information from our system to carrier, carrier to us, and everything, invoicing and everything can be done through this carrier collaboration portal. Career collaborations are multiple, like Intra, right? I said Intra is one, LBN is one. We have a custom portal called Kagero, which we are using now. So there are multiple collaboration portals that are there in uh, ERP world. LBN is one thing which is coming up within SAP, where they're trying to leverage it. It has its own drawbacks, like only road transportation can be done in SAP S4 LBN, which SAP is improvising, but it might take another couple of years for that to get fully loaded and running. And coming to that, we have other integrations which are not mentioned here, which I've been working on, is like maps integration, right? So as a transportation planner, I'm sitting in front of the system. I'm having the visibility, like how much product is coming out of our manufacturing plants and how much I have to deliver it. But as a transportation planner, I cannot visualize which direction the truck has to go, which locations the truck has to cover, right? So there is a flexibility within SAP TM, where we can leverage third-party maps. There are third-party maps like Here Maps, Project 44. Uh, you can also use Google Maps with an API, but Google Maps is not suggested within the SAP TM side. Kites is one of these third-party vendors where you can integrate their system to our system to have a view. Like, let's say a particular region in India, Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Gachibowli. There are multiple customers around it. You can group them together and create an order within that. So that's how maps are used inside TM. So for a transportation planner, he has a visibility. He can see in the system, select the locations based on the customer location. He can group them together and create a truck out of it. So those kind of integrations are also there. Any questions in terms of how the integration happens with multiple systems?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, so in TM, right, I forgot to tell this particular point. In TM, we have two different systems. Like, one is a sidecar TM, if you are aware. There is a terminology called sidecar TM and embedded TM, right? So sidecar TM is nothing but, earlier SAP came out as a TM as a separate box, not within the same system. Like, if you go to SPRO in the current system, you can see materials management, sales and distribution. Earlier, transportation management was not there. It used to be a separate system. We had to integrate both the systems to run it collaboratively. But now SAP from 2016, where I was working from TM, 2015 it came out as an embedded TM, and TM was included as a same box system. So uh, and the future prospects also, right? So SAP is going to decommission the sidecar one. That's the future plan for SAP, and everything will come out into a single box. That's the embedded TM, and that's our course basically. both are same, but you have a lot of integration between two systems, right? If you have two different systems, then integration becomes complex. So SAP is trying to decommission the sidecar one and go ahead with the single box system, which we are going to look into in this particular course completely. So coming down, this will come back when we have the master data. So this is how, what I said, right? Mapping system, right? So if you visualize, you can group all these locations into one, and you can create a truck for customers out of these locations. Something like that you can do. But this particular diagram doesn't represent that. These are all the master data elements that are within the TM side. We'll discuss that in detail when we come into those concepts. I was telling you, right, the transportation cockpit. This is the transportation cockpit that looks like, well, like a transportation planner sits on a system. If you look at the left side, there are a number of requirements that has to be shipped. And if you see the unloading locations, it can be one location, two location, it can be multiple location. And this is what I was saying, like maps, right? So when you select these freight units over here, you can see the locations here. You can group it and map it together as well. That kind of flexibility is there. But this again, map is not a inbuilt SAP thing. We have to take buy a license from here maps or any forekites or something, and leverage those APIs into SAP system to have this map visibility within the cockpit. So this is highly customizable. I'll show you, like there are 4 quadrants over here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It can go up to 6, and you can alter based on different scenarios. You can change the layouts, you can input new requirements and kind of stuff. We'll go through that in detail when we have this planning section coming on the way. So this is just for representation on how the transportation cockpit look like. As the definition says, cockpit is something where you do multiple things. So this is again carrier selection and
Sorry,
tendering. That's
sorry,
what, yeah, yeah. Go
sorry.
ahead.
When we say this planning, right, we have got two different
Mhm.
things, right? Manual and auto.
Yeah, we'll be talking about auto planning. I'll just give you a basic understanding of manual planning. But
Okay,
in our future sessions, I'll be completely talking about setting up an automated planning system.
okay, fine. Okay.
But generally, Arun, the business will never go live with automated process, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So how we'll run, right? So it's a complicated network. You cannot leave the system to an automated process. It will be
Mm-hmm.
semi-automated, not completely automated. It will be a semi-automated process where the transportation planner will see the output of a particular transportation order bit getting created, freight order getting created basically in the system, so that he's 100% sure that the system is generating it right. So they'll go for 6 to 7 months or 10 months or 1 year, depending on the business complexity. They'll go with semi-automatic, and for few scenarios, they'll go with manual planning. This is the outright expectation that you can set to a business, even when you're dealing with as a new client. When you're going to a new client, you can set these expectations upright, because if you commit that you're going to say that system is like, we'll set up a system such that you don't have to do anything, everything sets up automatically, it will plan automatically, it will send to the carrier automatically, carrier accept automatically. That's a wrong way of setting up expectations. So basically, a standard perfect implementation or a high level implementation in SAP TM goes in systematic manner. They'll segregate scenarios where it will be completely manual for the starting phase, until the users, right, they adapt to the system and they get the look and feel on exactly what's happening in the system. It will be manual process. Few are semi-automatic, which are straightforward. And later, after 6 months or 1 year, when the entire set of users there, right, they're comfortable in the system, then they'll go for automatic process. Like we set up batch jobs to have this automatically run, and the transportation planner will go and check the results only. He is not involved in any of this planning process. So that's how real-time implementation works. If you're setting up client to say that completely automated process, then it will be a difficult task to deliver it.
Okay.
Yeah. So did I answer your question or something
Yeah, yeah,
you're
I got
expecting
it. Yeah,
any other?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
So this is analytics reports. We'll come to this. So there are a lot of inbuilt analytics reports that are there in SAP TM by default, which can be leveraged according to the user role. So the user role concept is similar to the other modules as well, where you can restrict few transaction to a group of user or single user, right? So there are a lot of KPI related analytics reports that are there in the system, like freight orders which are on time, which are not on time, freight settlements. For freight settlements for a particular carrier, how much we are giving a particular share to a particular carrier. All these kind of things comes at a high level, leadership level reporting tools, right? They want to have a visibility to understand if the transportation planner is not getting biased to a particular carrier. So you understand, right? As a transportation planner, I can have a good relationship with DHL, and in back of the mind, even for higher prices, I am giving more to DHL because I have a good relationship to DHL. That has to stop at some point or the other. So that's where the KPI reporting comes into picture, where the manager or leadership level will have a track on this metrics, and they can take calls depending on the data that is there. So as soon as you like, if I'm working on a new system implementation, right? Most of the TM clients are new system implementation. So for analytics, right, you need to set expectations high. Analytics comes with data background, right? So when you're going with a new system, you don't have data of 2 to 3 years in backend. You just have 1 or 2 weeks of data. That's it. When the system is going live, so the analytics won't work as effectively as it is intended at the initial go live for a new system, because analytic reports is something, the name says that it draws the data from past. It comprehends those data and give the insights based on the data, right? So the realistic expectations would be like after 1 2 years you'll have the actual uh, view of what the analytics can do basically.
So analytics is an inbuilt module, one like within TM, or it's like
So we have standard analytics reports, like basic. Those are basic that is required by business on day-to-day activities. Those are
okay.
available, and you have SAP BI module as well, right? That's a different module. So if the requirements are complex, as a TM guy, I'll work with business intelligence or BI team to develop KPI reports according to the business requirements. I'll be giving
So,
input to them. They'll be modeling it according to the business requirement.
so SAP BA also it is like embedded in SAP, or that's completely a different tool like needs to
It's a
be
module within the TM itself.
within,
Sorry,
okay,
within SAP.
within
Within
SAP.
SAP.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. It can be like SD also can leverage SAP BI. TM
And
can leverage, EWM can leverage. So anybody can leverage SAP BI.
let's say like if an organization, right, so they already have
Mhm.
some BI tools like Power BI or so a few other BI tools, right? So can SAP integrate with the external BI tools as well?
I think so. I think so, but not 100% sure. I'm not of a BI background, but wherever I like currently we are going through that requirement. Like current clientele is like they're heavily reliant on Power BI and they're using macros in the Power BI. That's an Excel tool basically. So we are replicating the same into SAP landscape. So
Okay.
not integrating that, but we are making that Power BI to go away and come into SAP BI.
Okay.
So this is the standard sales order flow. I'll be going through the standard sales order flow, purchase order flow. This is okay. That I'll explain later. So whenever the sales order is created, right, uh, there is a flexibility within TM where we can integrate either sales order or in outbound delivery. So that's the flexibility that we have, and as a TM consultant, we need to discuss with the business what best suits for them. I'll give you a high level example. Like if they're going with sales order integration to TM, then the business will have a lot of time to have the transportation set up and then create deliveries out of transportation system. So that's a flexibility that say order based integration has. So that can be done. And the other aspect of like this scenario, right? It's like we create sales order, then this sales team creates a delivery, and that delivery creates the freight unit which is integrated to TM. So this gives less time for the transportation team to work on their process. But it entirely depends on business to business how they want to integrate their system. And this can be done across multiple scenarios. Like one scenario can have sales order integration, one scenario can have the delivery based integration. That is what we can do from TM, and we have that flexibility to do it. But what you need to understand is that at the creation of sales order, if we do the integration, that gives business vast amount of time to plan their transportation activities, as well as the EWM if they are having EWM related activities like placing the particular product into the warehouse, picking it, packing it, and all those kind of things. But when you go to the delivery based, right, already delivery is created, and delivery sometimes is created one day before the dispatch of that particular shipment. That gives a very less time for the transportation planner and the warehouse operators to get the work done within their streams.
I got a
So
question here.
that,
Uh,
yeah,
is time the only criteria here, or is there anything else that
it
decides
depends on
whether to
like
go?
business to business. Like some businesses like they don't want uh, the shipment to start until they get confirmation from the customer again. So in that case, you cannot do anything. Even if the order is created, I cannot say that my for this particular customer, you need to do the shipping activities way before the confirmation. Once the confirmation gets, we get the confirmation from the customer, then the delivery is created. That minimizes the time. But we have to follow the process, right? Sometimes a customer says that, "Yeah, I don't want on 20th of June, I want it 24th of June." Then what shall we do as a supply chain unit? We'll be in trouble, right? We arranged everything based on the order which is going on 20th. Now the warehouse has consumed that space in order to accommodate this particular delivery. Now the customer is asking, let's go on, we need these components or these products on 24th of June. So that onus lies on us. And us means like EWM and TM as a whole, as a supply chain unit. We have to bear the pain because warehouse workers, which are very tightly packed, are already working on these aspects of bringing the product and placing in a particular location in the warehouse. And as a transportation planner, we are communicating it to the carrier. So we say that carrier has to come on 19th of June to deliver it on 20th of June. So all this miscommunication happens. It's not a single uh, thing that can be recovered by the business team. No, it's not. So it's the entire chain that is dependent on it. So it really depends on business to business how they want it. So we as a team consultants, right, we need to inquire on the business like multiple. We have to bring in different scenarios to the business perspective based on how the discussion is going when this particular concept comes up in the blueprinting phase or somewhere, right? You need to have that engagement with the business based on what they say. We need to again communicate back and take the business requirements out of it and formulate a solution for that. This is one of the requirements we had, like why we go with delivery based, not with order based, because everything was looking smooth for us. But when the customer, sorry, when the business user came and said at the later point of time when the entire design was finalized, when we are showcasing the demo, then the business user came in, gave that few customers won't accept this, we have to change the date, how do we do it at the time of demo? So that's a shocker for us. We need to, because this holds the main concept of integration between S4 and TM, right? So we had to adapt to that situation. So we, based on few criterias, we split those process. Like for those customers which are doing that, we did uh, our delivery based planning. For the other customers who are going, we did order based planning, like that.
Okay.
You understood, right, what I was trying to say? It depends on
Yeah.
multiple requirements. Yeah.
Got it now. Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to, as a TM consultant, you have to remember is that it's not only TM that is going to impact based on this decision, it's the entire supply chain that is going to impact.
Correct.
So yeah, we're coming to the Gautam. You're good, or I'm going too fast over here? You're able to get it?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So this is a sales order flow, right? So we'll go with the order-based integration. Nothing changes except the fact that delivery is created out of TM. That is, I missed that part here. Ah, yeah. Here, delivery creation is there. The delivery creation comes out of TM. I'll explain that process. So let's say we have a sales order of uh, 20 ton. So 20 ton is the sales order. Uh, that when that sales order is saved, we get the freight unit that is created. Freight unit is nothing but uh, when the 20 ton product is chopped off into smaller objects. The smallest object that can be shipped can be uh, freight unit. Basically, let's say you are asking 20 ton of paper, right? Let's take a very simple example. 20 ton of paper. Then we say that 100 kgs will go into one carton, right? The carton box, you understand, right? A cardboard box. So 100 kgs of paper will go into one carton box. So that is a freight unit for us. So we have to build a system that 100 kgs into 20, sorry, 200 boxes. That will make 20 ton, right? So we need to create 20 freight units, each freight unit of 100 kgs or one carton box. So we have to split the, or it depends on the business requirement. Not we have to split, but it depends on the business requirement. Let's say the customer is requesting that uh, let's say, so let's take a simple example, not 20 ton. Let's take 2 ton. The 2 tons of paper is requested by customer, and he requested that 1 ton has to come on uh, 10th of June. The other next 1 ton has to come on. Next 500 ton has to come on. Sorry, uh, half ton has to come on 15th, and the remaining has to come on 20th. So there are three different schedules that is given, but a single order, right? So we have to split that order into multiple trucks based on different dates that we are going to deliver on. So that's how we formulate the freight units. Let's say the freight unit, and they're delivering it in cartons. They want it in cartons of 100 kgs. That's how we formulate the business unit as a carton. Let's say we can have a more smaller unit, like instead of 100 kgs we can have a 1 kg as a smallest unit that can be transported, like a copier page is there, right? 100 pages or something like that. That also we can generate. So this example is something like, I'm a manufacturer of paper. I'll always manufacture in cartons, and business always customers always orders in cartons. So that carton will become my smallest unit that will be shipped out of my company. So I'll create that. uh, are you getting my point, what I'm trying to say? Any questions here? I'll give one more example out of this if you don't have any questions.
It's okay. I understood. So, one about the maybe you just took an example as a carton, but what if the
It can be
cartons become,
anything.
you know,
It can be
the
anything. I'm a cell phone manufacturer, right? One iPhone can be one freight unit. That's how it works, right?
can there
Multiple
be a
customers are there.
for
Yeah.
example, when can there be a variable ones like so if you are combining the order for two three carriers or two three orders like that, in one
Yeah,
you are.
this freight unit will come out of sales order. So one order will have a particular rules. So there are
Mhm.
business rules that we generate, and that rules will apply to this order. That's a very uh, what we say, flexible rules that we can keep in. Like we can divide it to multiple rules as well. We can have condition that if this criteria is met, it should, like for the same, like let's take a paper example, right?
Mm.
I can put in a condition saying that for if a particular criteria in the sales order is met, then it should create uh, uh, one carton. Otherwise, the second case is that if another criteria is met, it should only create 100 pages paper copier, smaller freight unit as well. That also
Mm.
I can do. Similarly, in
Okay.
the iPhone example, right, I can say that for a particular criteria, the system can create a carton of iPhones. Like a
Okay.
carton can have 15 iPhones. The
Okay.
same rule can also say that for a particular criteria, I can create only one freight unit for that particular
Yeah.
requirement.
For example, if you are
It's
ordering 150 units, 150 iPhones, right? So then
Mhm.
each carton can have like 10 phones means. So sorry, like 100 phones means. So you have 100 phones in one carton, and for
Yeah,
50
50
you
will
will
go
have.
in another. Yeah,
But both
yeah,
the units are the same size, right? So
same
that
size.
can
It
have.
will go as a weight.
Okay.
The carton will have dimensions, right? The carton will have same dimensions, but it will be half filled carton, not a full filled carton.
Oh, okay.
But the
That's my
truck,
question.
if you're
So,
looking, yeah, if you're looking at a truck, right, you place carton on carton on carton. That's it. We are thinking about truck sizes or
actually,
vessel sizes or
that's the question, Banu. So the each freight unit, right? They have to be uniform, or can we have like a
not
flexible freight unit?
uniform. It's the smallest part that cannot be broken down further. That you can take it. Like if I am a shipper, I'm only selling in cartons, right? I
Okay.
cannot, as a business rule, I don't have further dismantling of that. I'll only sell in cartons. Business has to buy from me in cartons only. One carton of paper, two carton of paper,
Okay. Okay.
like one carton of
Okay.
iPhones. If the business says that I'll sell in single pieces of iPhone, my
Mhm.
freight unit, I'll define freight unit as one iPhone to one freight unit. Like if the sales customer sales order is like 100 iPhones in that, 100 freight units will be created for that. That's a simple rule.
Oh, okay.
Again, this 100 can be clubbed together into a carton as a packaging. That's a different story. That can
So
be done in a separate thing.
okay. Again, my question might be silly, but see, for example,
No,
if
no.
somebody is ordering 110 phones from you, okay? So,
Hmm.
and your carton is defined as 100 units. So, what will happen to that
So,
order? So, you say like I will
uh,
sell 100, 200, or you will accept the order of 110.
so, so if I say that my basic unit is carton, that I'll only sell in cartons, right? I'll talk to my customer when he's putting an order. The customer representative will talk to them. They'll give a clear
Mhm.
expectation that Banu is going to sell only in cartons and you need to order only in cartons. If 100 iPhones going to one carton, I'll either ask business to upgrade to 200 iPhones or come back
Mhm.
to 100 iPhones, because that's
Okay.
my business rule. But if my business is flexible and says that I can even sell in uh, this one single iPhones, I can say a business rule that for particular customer, I'll sell only in cartons, and for particular customer, I can sell in iPhones. When when you're differentiating this, right, based on customer, you can set
Mhm.
that rule in the system saying that for this customer you have to sell in carton. The freight unit will be carton. For the second customer who wants only in individual pieces, for that a single iPhone will be a particular freight unit. So if he orders 110, the 110 freight units will be created. For the other customer, only 100 one carton will be created directly in the system.
Okay, got that. So, but you can't combine it, right? Okay.
No, we can't combine it. It depends. Like
But
the
packaging can.
customer represent.
Uh,
Yeah, packaging can be done later in the EWM space.
so
Like a
just because
pallet can go.
you created like a 110 freight units, they will not be
Mhm.
assuming like you need to pack them in a 110 boxes, not like that, right?
Not
They can
that
come.
way. Those, yeah, they can combine. So this is just a transportation visibility, right? How do I put it? Let's say Amazon service is there. If you see Amazon service, when he brings the truck, right, you can see variety of products in that. Each product is a freight unit because that
Okay.
cannot be split further. So when you're sending to a particular uh, um customer, you differentiate in that. You want in cartons, we'll build in cartons. You want in single pieces, like how we are manufacturing depends a lot on how we are doing that. Simple example is Amazon truck. You see multiple boxes. Each box
Yeah.
is a freight unit assigned to a customer. It cannot be broken further. Like you cannot break that and give it to one customer, second customer like that. It's a single product that's going from one location to another location.
Okay.
So these freight units, right? it should be formulated in such a way that it is flexible for the system. So when we go to in detail, I'll explain you like different cases on how we do it and kind of stuff. So one requirement, like for when I was working for a Middle East client, right? The requirement is that their customers, their biggest suppliers and chemicals and kind of stuff. So whenever they take order from the customer, they take full truckloads, like 53 ton. They have 53-ton capacity trucks. They say that when the customer is ordering, the sales representative will ask them to place in number of trucks only, 53, 106, like that. Okay, based on that, it will trigger like the business requirement is clear. Like business only wants to sell it in trucks. They don't want to split it any further. Like a customer, when they are going to a customer, the full truck belongs to them only. So the ask is simple, right? What I'll do as a TM consultant is that for that kind of a product where they're selling only in trucks, right? I'll say that it should only create 53 tons freight unit. You got that, right? It doesn't split across the transportation chain. It goes from one location to end location as a 53-ton truck. I'll say 53 ton is my freight unit.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
Got it? So that was
Yeah. That's
basic, very, very
again,
simple requirement we had in one of the clients. So
that's
just got
again from
got
order
over.
to order. Next order you can change it anyway, right?
Got it. I didn't get it.
So that's again from order to order, right? So for but this one particular order, it can be like 53 ton. While doing a
That's what I'm
second order,
saying. Our business wanted for a particular set of products, right? They only sell in trucks
got it.
because these trucks come in this cylindrical thing, right? Liquid things, which is highly inflammable kind of. You see the petrol trucks which are going similar to that. They carry heavy chemicals, so they cannot dif uh, give it to multiple customers. Like it's checked while it is shipping out of their location, and it is checked while they are delivering at the customer location. So there is no scope in between to have anything. So the business requirement is quite clear for this product. Whenever whoever the customer is, if this product is ordered, that should get in truck size only.
Understood.
And the transportation planning comes in, where I showed, right? This is the thing, that is the cockpit which we have. This is a semi-automatic and automatic planning system. So whenever a freight unit is created, this comes here. I'll show that in detail in the system, or else I'll parallelly keep on showing that so that it is there. Where did it go? One second. I'll open the system too. And so you guys are aware of the Fiori thing, Arun or Gautam? Any?
Yeah, yeah.
So SAP TM completely runs in Fiori. Configuration lies in GUI, but the user who works on it, right? He completely works on Fiori. There is no transactions inside this. Like for purchase order, you click on ME23N, right? And that will not be there in TM. You have to always go.
And what about decentralized system? If you have decentralized system, which that doesn't, I mean, that doesn't run on Fiori apps. So what's that they use there?
No, no. NWBC was the thing that was there before,
Hmm.
which is called NetWeaver Business Client. That
Hmm.
again is, I'll show that if that is accessible over the GUI. These days
One
it
thing,
is
Can you
decommissioned, I guess.
can you give me one liner about Fury because I am not aware.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so,
No issues. I'll explain. So this was NetWeaver Business Client was the initial setup. It's also a web-based thing where they have similar kind of a setup. I don't know if this is accessible. Yeah, they have removed this after the Fiori implementation, but it's similar web-based kind of a setup where they used to work in that interface only. Even before Fiori came in, it was NWBC that was there for TM, if that's a question. So for coming to Gautam, right? You are aware, right? Currently in your classes, right? You are always working on something like this, a system like this, where you go
Yes.
on to ME23N and do stuff, right? This is called GUI. That is an interface where you work on creating stuff and everything. So SAP was always like this, but
Mm.
in 2015-16 they came up with a cloud-based interface. Like this is, if you see this, it's a quite outdated system. No one wants to work on this. Everyone wants to work like Amazon or Salesforce. You just have to open a website like this and do stuff over this, right? So the user
Okay.
will just have an shortcut over like this. He'll click on this, it will open, and they keep on working on this. Like they don't have all the applications that you see on my screen. They'll have only set of their applications that they work on. That's it. It's a web-based cloud interface which can be worked on phones, tabs, and everything. So that's how SAP is coming back. This will again connect to same server as we are using this. So you understand that, right? So it's like connecting a web server into,
Like a
uh,
desktop client versus a web client. Okay.
yeah, web client. That's a desktop client. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So Gautam was asking some, sorry, uh, Arun was asking something. Arun, did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, you said NWBC, right? Yeah.
NWC. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thought.
I got
So
it.
this is called transportation cockpit. I'll be going through transportation cockpit and quickly going through the end-to-end thing. Where did this go? Here only, right? Sorry. Where is this cockpit? And coming to Gautam, these are all called Fiori tiles. This is a Fiori, right? Fiori tiles is nothing but an application that we go through. For example, I'm not getting this particular app here. So planning, yeah, here it is. This is the Fiori tile. I clicked on application called Transportation Cockpit. That opens the Transportation Cockpit where you can see the view which I was saying. This has a lot of configuration to do server connections and kind of stuff before setting up the system. Uh, I'm not sure if this is working or not, but I'll go through another app. This is the freight order work list. This is again a work list. This can be personalized. This is called Powell, personalized work list. So you can personalize it. A user can personalize according to his wish. Like he can change the layout, he can add what he wants, he can remove what he doesn't want to see, and kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll be taking a particular freight order. I'll go to, oh, we have already opened this freight order. This is not opening. I'll check this. I didn't check the cockpit yet. So this is a show criteria maintenance where you can filter out easily. If you don't want to go through that list, you can go to this report. Like in purchasing, right? You have ME2N report or something to create the freight order, look at the purchase orders kind of stuff, right? This is similar to that, but way more flexible, way more efficient and kind of stuff. You can maintain multiple variants within this, and you can have that views together. That's quite easy, and it's like quite flexible and like fast. So this is the freight order I'm showing you. Freight order is nothing but a shipment. If you see, so I'll not go to freight order right now. That will be complicated. I'll go to freight unit. Okay, this is the freight unit that got created for a particular sales order. If you see, this is the sales order that got created 120 12057 is a sales order, and that has an outbound delivery. That outbound delivery created the freight unit. I'm just opening up that freight unit. This freight unit is saying that this is a 2 kg weight. It is going from source location, that is the shipping point. SP represents the shipping point for in TM, and this is the customer location that is there. And this is the freight unit building rule, which I was saying that rules are flexible, right? This defines exactly how the freight unit has to be created. We'll go in detail on exactly how to create the freight unit building rules in future sessions. So that's one important criteria. I'll give you real-time examples in how to do it and what are the conditions that you can leverage to maximize the potential of that particular thing. So basically, this is a freight unit. This says that 2 kg is the particular freight unit that has to go from this location to this location, and it should be delivered basically on 13th of February. This is an old one. So this is the particular freight unit that I'm talking, and that freight unit can be seen in the transportation cockpit. I'm not sure why this is not coming. Yeah, it came, but yeah, okay. I'll explain you everything later, because if I start doing this, it will take a lot of time. But when we come to the planning session, right, we'll have a detailed things on what this is and how to use this kind of stuff. So this is the transportation cockpit. We have the freight unit in the left hand side. Then we'll go back to the thing. Transportation planet can be done in two ways. I'll show you how the manual thing is done. So manual thing is something we create freight order manually, like you give some freight order here and you input the freight units into this freight order. So that's how you do it. So input the freight unit into this freight order. This is completely manual. So business still follow this uh, thing concept called manual freight order for complex business scenarios where cockpit will not help them much. They'll do this kind of scenarios. And you can also do manual planning within the transportation cockpit also. That's also is a possibility. I'll show you when the transportation planning session comes into picture. So we go back to this screenshot where you have the freight unit and you have the resources here. You can have trucks, trailers, and vessel schedules. So based on that, you can do the planning here. I'll show in future how the planning has to be done. You can drag and drop, you can use automatic planning, you can use the proposals where if there are multiple routes in the system, all the routes will be shown and you can select one particular route that you want to go through. That kind of scenario is done. Then the output of planning comes as a freight order. That's what I was showing you here. This is a freight order. So when you see the freight order, the planning, uh, what comes in is, where is the document flow? Yes, sorry. So this freight unit gets associated to the freight order, and with the freight unit, you can also see the outbound delivery and the sales document that is associated. And when you go to the general data, you can see which location it is going from, to which location it is going, and what are the organizations that are responsible, like purchase organization. We have kind of master data, which will be discussed in future on the master data session. What is the vehicle that is picking it up, and inside the vehicle, how much is the utilization? You'll get a figure over here. See, this is the utilization of this particular vehicle. You can see all kind of stuff within the same freight order. The subcontracting tab shows like who is the carrier that is coming from and where is coming from and all this kind of things. These are the charges that you can see, the rates, like these are the rates that we are going to pay for the carrier, and we can leverage these charges and we can pay to the customer through customer billing in sales order as well. So we can transfer this 1800 to customer billing invoice and can charge customer also, so that we are not owning anything, we are just leveraging these charges and passing on to the customer itself. So this is the freight order that gets created. It's the legal document that goes to the carrier to accept the services, and he'll come and pick up the particular uh, thing. So once a carrier selection is done, right? So we always have an option to create, because this is an order based delivery, right? We can trigger proposals out of this system. So as it's SAP thing, SAP TM guy, right? We can say when the delivery can be created. Our planning is ready now, and as a transportation planner, we have planned everything, and now we are transferring it to the delivery team, or let's say S4 team again. So we trigger out proposals from here in the follow-up actions. We create deliveries. This will send a proposal to the sales order that is created, and that will create a delivery out of there. If that delivery is relevant to EWM system, right? So that's again our responsibility as a TM guy to integrate this freight order into the EWM delivery side. So what we do is we send the loading instructions. We have configurations to this also. So when the loading instruction is sent, the freight order is converted into a transportation unit within EWM and is integrated to that. So this number will represent as a transportation unit inside the EWM system, and that TU can be used for Ashok is sorry, Arun is aware of that. Like picking, packing, and everything will be done by this TU, which comes from the freight order. In the latest versions, we have this is the standard traditional approach of TM EWM integration, having a transportation unit that integrates. The advanced version of TM in the current 2023 kind of setup, we have advanced shipping and receiving notifications where we don't send TUs, whereas the freight order is directly integrated to EWM. It has its own set of limitations and constraints. That's why most of the businesses still use the transportation unit based integration as of now, ignoring the ASR scenarios. We can go through that later. We have a SAP document mentioning what is possible in ASR scenarios, advanced shipping and receiving, and what not is possible. I'll pick up the note and we can see the note, what it can achieve and what it cannot achieve. So once we trigger out deliveries, right, a delivery is created in S4 system. If it is an EWM, it get distributed to EWM system. Once it get distributed, we can see the statuses over here. If it is EWM thing, right, transmission to EWM status is sent will be there. If it is an EWM relevant, when we send the loading instructions, it will be sent, and you can see the TO over there. It is an asynchronous process. Basically, as soon as you click on this, XML will be generated and it will be sent out to EWM side, and EWM will receive that XML in their setup and will uh, create a TU in their system. The delivery gets associated with TU. That's a complicated process in the whole thing. And most of the configurations are relevant for EWM system, not TM side. TM is very limited configurations to have the setup ready. So most of them is EWM owned configurations in there.
Are we going to discuss about EWM and TM integration, particularly in this?
I have to see in
Course?
the system. I'm not sure, but if I get an opportunity, I'll check the EWM TM. If the system is set up in that direction, I can show you that configurations are kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's really tough for me to do the both side configurations, right? So I'm not a EWM specialist, so
No,
I'm not
no. What if
100%.
what if I kind of like can help you with EWM stuff, configuring the
If you
system?
can do that, I can guide you with the TM stuff, and you can set up both TM and EWM because you wanted to learn TM, right? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a real-time experience for you, and we can
Oh,
work through a
that's great.
scenario together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Yeah.
That's not a problem for me. Time is a constraint, but if you are willing to do that, I'm more than happy to guide you on exactly how to do, what not to do, and you can see
Yep.
exactly how it flows.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then comes the load planning is optional. Most of the businesses won't use load planning. Load planning is something I can show you the thing. We can work on this one, but this is not an important thing in TM, but I can guide you through exactly how to set this up, and you can work on the demo system. It's fun to do basically. I used to do a lot. It's fun to do. So this is something like a load planning in TM system, right? So this is the cockpit that you can see in the cockpit or load planning thing, where you can define your own truck, the axles of the truck, the dimensions of the truck, and the cartons, which I was saying, right? These are the cartons or the boxes or the freight units that are there. So you can arrange the freight units in whatever way. You can say uh, from the inside to outside, you can fill like how to fill up a particular truck. So you can always visualize this stuff similar like this. This is an SAP TM thing. You can build a truck, you can build a freight unit, you can assign the freight unit to a truck and see how the truck is being filled. Though this is a fun thing to do, but most of the companies don't do this. Not most of the companies, but whichever company I've worked in, they ignored this option because it's more time consuming and not so what you say, it doesn't save time for them. Instead, it burns more time. Whereas the warehouse operator who is loading the truck, right, he has way more accurate information or analysis than the system does. So this is a good thing to do the load planning, which is optional. That's why I have written optional. This slide I created back in 2015, and this is still optional for me. And yeah, then comes the settlement process. The settlement process, right? I'll open the freight order. When you go into the document flow, so this document flow is nothing but a purchase order history or a sales order history, sales order document flow, something like if you in your EWM you want to see the activities over there, the status activities, something like that would show all the reference to that particular source document, right? This is that kind of a document flow, which shows the end-to-end structure of this particular freight order. If you go to the settlement document, right? This document is nothing but we are settling the prices with the carrier. In this process, this carrier will act as a vendor. Because why I'm saying vendor, because he is giving us services and we are accepting his services. So it's similar to a vendor kind of a setup. So this is a carrier who is acting as a vendor. So in purchase scenarios, when we take some services from a vendor, what shall we do? We have to create an invoice and pay for that invoice, right? In system MIRO we create an invoice document through MIRO and do the payment transaction for that. This is the same process as this. Our end target should be that we have to create an invoice document and pay it to the particular carrier. So this is where again integration between TM and S4 takes place. There are a hell lot of configurations in and around this. And if you go to the document flow of this thing, right? See, when we create this settlement document, it will create, the system has to automatically create this purchase order, which is service purchase order and service entry sheet. These are automatically created when we post this document. And based on these purchase orders, right, invoice will be posted by the accounts payable team. So if you go to MIRO, you can see, oh, sorry, any company code, I'll just give 1000. Okay. So in this, see, if you see this, a TM reference has come up. So you can give this freight order and can create an invoice and pay the invoice. So this invoice is created in that way. Earlier in if the system doesn't have TM, you shouldn't get this. You will have only GL account and PO reference. But when TM is integrated, you will see a TM reference tab. You can use any of this particular thing to create an invoice document and pay the invoice. So this covers the end-to-end process for sales thing. Purchase order, it's the same thing. You can do the delivery based planning or order based planning, and remaining all steps remains the same. Nothing different from what it used to be. When it comes to delivery planning, we don't have this step because this step is already done prior to the freight unit creation. So any questions or expectations you have from the next sessions onwards, do let me know so that I can incorporate that. Any questions from this session? Good to answer that as well.
Are we going to use latest version of S4 system for training?
Sir,
Yeah,
that can be
I'll
answered
update
by.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'll update that.
Okay.
Okay. But on a high level, if you are ready, Arun, you can integrate like when the things when we go to the order planning and thing, right? Until order planning, I can let you know the configurations, what needs to be done. If you in your current organization, if you have SAP notes in scope, right? That launchpad, if you have, I'll give you the SAP notes for that. You can see that notes. You can try setting up in that direction. I can guide you through that. I'll also meanwhile check in the current system, which Sai will let me know. I'll check in that system if the EWM thing is still there, integrated. Then I can confirm that as well.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay, so Banu, so for me, right? Look,
Mhm.
yeah, most of the components, I mean, terminals are new for me. For example, you
Yeah.
showed
I
the
understand. Yeah, if I
how.
go to that, right, Gautam. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
when
I
we go
know.
to the detailed session, right, I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
again come to what is freight unit, and I'll come with an examples, real-time examples. I'll show you exactly how the freight unit is created and kind of stuff. Then it will be clear for you. Maybe
yeah.
because you are very new to SAP itself, and with
Well,
all
freight
these
unit,
terminologies,
yeah, yeah, freight unit.
yeah,
This kind of thing is bit easy to
yeah,
understand, but
understand, right?
the Fury
Yeah,
module,
the
right?
entire.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, you're worried about the Fury thing. It's. You get used to this. Don't worry about this.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
just like
a lot
working
of
on.
documentation like purchase order invoices, and like how the automatic invoice is created, account payable, how it goes, and like these
Oh, no
concepts.
issues, no issues. That will be entirely taken care by me. That's what I was saying, right? This if I go with the configuration level in the demo session, it
I
will
know. I
take
understand.
7 8 hours to complete it. So no need to worry about that. I'll go through in detail configuration, and we'll work through if required. Like if you have a different company code or different set of data you're trying to work, right? You can create your own configurations and you can generate it. And if there are any errors, we can go through together in the session and we can clear it.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
Everything is configuration related only. Freight unit creation, planning, freight order, carrier selection, settlement process. And I'll give a heads up that I can explain you the concept and show you the working process. But what I would suggest is like when you are done with the session, you can go back to the system, create your own configurations, and can work on that. That really will give you an insights, and you can come up with more questions and more ideas on how to do that, because TM is not a straightforward module. That's a clear picture from my end. You have to innovate yourself to give the best solution for the business. Like if you take MMSD, right, or EWM, you have a set of processes that are very old in the business. Like a particular business is using warehouse activities from long time, and they have an ERP system for that. But for TM, right, there is no ERP system associated for most of the companies. So ERP is new for them in the TM space. You have to get innovative ideas to fix that particular solution. So I'll give you like insights or business scenarios, examples when we are going through that particular concept, right? Whatever I experienced, the complex scenarios or typical scenarios which I went through and how we work through as a team for the things, right? So I'll explain you in that direction so that you can get an idea. But my intention is that if you start working on a business process, like you have a business process in idea, you try to work that idea, right? Then you'll get a lot of questions on how to do and how not to do. That will give you a great idea on TM processes in whole.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Any more questions or inputs for the sessions that you need? That's also is fine for me.
I'm good.
I'm all good.
I'm yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Sai, you can take over now.
Yeah. Yeah. And if no questions, then we can wind up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So we'll
Yeah.
talk again.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys. రెండు గంటలు అయింది